Hello, keepers of the old gods and the new.
And ladies and gentlemen and everything in between.
And
all of those together in a nice big old package of fun and death.
My brothers and sisters of the Night's Watch.
If you things we could do.
If you haven't gotten it yet, we're going to talk about Game of Thrones.
Yeah, and if you haven't gotten it, you should leave now.
Yeah, no, okay,
leave now. Onto HBO. Go away. And come back.
And watch either Game of Thrones, Ballers, Vinyl, or like a bunch of the original programming on there.
The Sopranos, all of that.
Yeah, no, it's a lot of great...
And then come back.
They got a lot of great shit on there.
Well, yeah, they can do what they want.
Love it so much. Anyway, so this is our TV edition of Thoughts?
Because this guy here... Finally... years.
5 years too late, finally watched the first season of Game of Thrones. And I've started season 2. I think I like this show, Drew.
Yeah.
It's a pretty good show.
What makes you think that?
I don't know. Okay, I want to start from the beginning, alright? So I remember back 6 years ago when Game of Thrones began, when I was a wee 15-year-old lad.
Oh my god.
When I was a wee boy. I watched the first 3 episodes of Game of Thrones. I'm like, this is a little too slow for me. Maybe
this
not.
is fine. No, Brainus.
No, that's not what drew me away. It was just like it was a little too slow for me. I didn't really fully appreciate what they were doing. I wasn't as big into fantasy as I am now. I wasn't as big. I wasn't
there yet.
I just wasn't quite on the level that I needed to be to really appreciate what Game of Thrones was trying to be and what Game of Thrones was. And it's been 6 years since then, and I could have started any time, but
We've offered him to start all the time.
Yeah, no,
I have the first season. It's in fact over there,
and I'm just like, I can watch it anytime on HBO Go or whatever. And the thing about being able to watch it anytime on Netflix, Hulu, any of those streaming services is, yeah, I can watch it anytime. Why do I need to watch it now? Well, and I finally had this free day where I wasn't doing anything and I wasn't working until 6 o'clock in the afternoon, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna fucking watch Game of Thrones.
I'm gonna start right now.
And holy fucking shit, this show's great.
Yeah.
It's a really cool show. And I'm a much bigger fan of Lord of the Rings now than I was at that point.
When you were a wee lad.
When I was a wee 15-year-old lad. Because, I had seen Lord of the Rings, but I, again, hadn't really fully appreciated it.
Yeah. You hadn't marathoned.
Yeah. And,
the Jackson.
Yeah, I was baptized in Lord of the Rings the day we went and did that trilogy event of all the extended editions. I'm like, this series fucking rules. But anyway, Game of Thrones is very similar in a lot of ways.
In a way, yeah.
In a lot of ways. It's basically, if you want to follow the very base level of what Game of Thrones is, it is following a man from noble yet somehow tainted beginnings on his quest to find who he truly is and eventually get to rule.
Mm-hmm. Spoilers.
Yeah. You can kind of tell that Jon Snow is Aragorn from the first episode.
Well, yes.
That's just who Jon Snow is. And there's a lot more going on. There is in Lord of the Rings. And Game of Thrones is a lot more political. than Lord of the Rings is. And that's part of what
George isn't afraid to get into the nitty-gritty.
No. And
it gets nitty and it gets gritty.
What I was thinking watching the first season, like, okay, if the Lord of the Rings was a George R.R. Martin novel, in addition to the people that did die, Gimli, Pippin, and probably Aragorn would all be dead before Fellowship folded. Like, that would probably happen just kind of for shock value, and also to show you they made some stupid fucking decisions.
Yeah.
Like, the reason that the big cataclysmic death that happens in season 1 happens is because that person made some stupid decisions.
Yeah.
For the sake, for just nobility for nobility's sake, like honor for honor's sake. He's just like, I'm doing this because it would be dishonorable upon my house to do anything else.
And Sean Bean's performance is great.
Yeah, Sean Bean's performance is fantastic, but a lot of people were really upset when he bid it. Like when Ned Stark...
I guess we don't really have to do spoilers since it's 6 years old.
Yeah, that's right.
We've already told them to leave and then come back.
Yeah, okay. When Ned Stark bites it, a lot of people were, like, devastated. Like, they're like, where the fuck does this series go?
And the first season is very heavy in his story.
Yeah, the first season basically has Ned Stark as our main protagonist.
And then there's some things over here, and then some things down here.
Yeah.
And then the things around Ned.
Yeah, and it basically has Ned Stark as our main protagonist. And the thing that was really smart on their part is they kill him on the second to last episode of the season.
Yeah.
So you'll
notice that a lot in the show.
No, I noticed that because I caught the second to last episode of season 6. Like, there was that
Battle of the Bastards.
That big battle, and I'm like, and my brother's like, what happens next week? And then he's like, wait, there's a whole bunch of shit going on in King's Landing. There's so much more to happen. But like, the episode...
And then there's the season finale, which... Shush.
I haven't watched I didn't watch the season finale. I've just kind of caught a few glimpses of Game of Thrones here and there, and finally I'm just like, this show looks great.
Yeah.
But like, that's
after much pushing.
But that's so smart to do that cataclysmic beheading right there before episode 10 of season 1. Because the whole audience is on the edge of their seat, like, what happens now?
Yeah.
The main character's dead. And they're like, oh, don't worry. Oh, don't worry. Peter Dinklage is the main character now. It's like Tyrion Lannister is a hell of a character.
Oh, yeah.
And, what's her name? Daenerys
Stormborn.
Targaryen. Daenerys Targaryen is also a hell of a character. And the thing is, like, I haven't really yet been devastated by all the deaths that are happening. Like, they hit me, but I haven't been devastated. A, because I know that it's that kind of a show already, and B, the characters that I like, that are like my favorites, are gonna be around for a while. Like, my favorites are Tyrion Lannister. Arya Stark.
Yeah.
And those are really my two main favorites right now.
Yeah.
Like, I like Jon Snow, but Jon Snow is just kind of a hero guy. He's just kind of your hero archetype type dude.
Kind of, not quite, but yeah.
I mean, so far.
That's a roundabout way of saying that, right?
So far, that's how he is.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, it's
I'm
really
part of the Night's Watch.
it's really cool. So like, do you have any questions for me?
So let's see. Isn't it in? It's been a while since I've seen season 1, but doesn't. Well, what do you think of the Dothraki people? Because like you get all the very like Western Kingdom stuff with like Westeros, but then there's also all of the Dothraki,
Those
and
weird like
across the Narrow Sea.
Those weird like native culture type thing.
Yeah.
I like their culture a lot. Like I'm not a huge fan of them as characters, because they're kind of just unlikable characters for the most part, because they're very rape and pillage type people.
They're like the Mongols mixed with Vikings.
Yeah, but their culture is very interesting. Like their treatment of animals and their hierarchy is cool.
Yeah.
Like it's really cool the way they kind of teach you all about them over the course of the whole thing, and kind of like bring you it's almost like a lesson of how every scenario could play out for that culture. Like a new queen coming in, how do they handle that? How do they handle foreigners? How do they handle when their queen is insulted? How do they handle when they no longer respect the king? The
Khal.
Yeah, well, yeah, the Khal. Khal means king.
Yeah. Or chief.
Yeah. Khaleesi. Khal and Khaleesi. But,
A crown fit for a king.
crown for king. Yeah, how they handle how he kind of puts aside, how the Khal kind of puts aside his some of his cultural needs in order to please this woman that he's come to love. Like that's that story arc with Daenerys, with the Dothraki, is that it?
Yeah.
I'm bad with fantasy names, but that whole story arc is really, really cool. Like I really appreciated that quite a bit.
It's been a minute. Does Khal Drogo die in season 1, or is that 2?
Yes.
Okay. So the dragons come.
Yeah, the
end of
dragons are there at the very end of season 1. Like that's the last shot is Daenerys holding the dragons naked. Yeah. In the ashes of the Khal's burial fire.
So you mentioned Tyrion as being one of your favorite characters. What do you think of the rest of the people in the game? Like Littlefinger, like Varys, like Cersei.
I love Littlefinger. Like Littlefinger's a piece of shit. Yeah. But I love him a lot. Like, and especially the way he knows his place and at times forgets his place is really interesting, because he's got kind of two areas of the way, like, he's got kind of two areas that he lives in. He lives in the as part of the Crown's the council, where he's
the small council.
Yeah, where he's kind of a lesser person, but sort of just an advisor.
Yeah. Like he kind of brings in the news from.
But he's also like the head honcho of one of the most popular brothels in the in all of King's Landing.
Yeah, he was actually kind of one of my inspirations for one of my favorite D&D characters.
Yeah.
Gimbal Beltor, the gnome illusionist who runs a brothel.
Yeah. No, but like he's the boss of that brothel, and like he reigns with an iron fist, which you kind of start to see that at the beginning of season 2, which I've watched the first couple episodes, and like. But there's moments. This is again at the beginning of season 2, where he kind of forgets where he is when he's talking to the queen, and like very kind of oversteps his boundaries, and she almost kills him for it.
Yeah.
Like that moment where he says knowledge is power, and then she tells the guards to cut his throat. Then she's like, "No, wait, I've changed my mind. Walk back 3 paces. Turn around. Now close your eyes. Power is power." She's badass and terrifying. Like I like her, but I also hate her.
Yeah, you love to hate her.
Yeah, she's a very good villain at this point. Like she's not gonna be the main bad guy for the whole thing. But like, right?
No. Yes and no. But
Yes and no. I don't know.
It kind of influxes,
Okay.
but because that's how this show works, and that's really cool.
Yeah.
But what are your thoughts on Varys,
Remind me.
the eunuch,
Oh yeah.
with his little birds?
I like him and Littlefinger's banter. Like that's one of my favorite and I like when I'm talking a lot about the beginning of season 2 because I just watched it. But when Tyrion comes in as the Hand of the King in his father's stead, when he's kind of like in there in his bedchambers talking to Tyrion's lover, and he's like, I know your father didn't want her to be here. Like kind of saying like, I've got dirt on you.
Yeah.
And then Tyrion's like, don't fuck with me, and then he's like, don't fuck with me. Like, not in so many words, but that's basically what they were saying.
And a bunch of eyebrow gestures.
Yeah, it's great. I think one of my favorite lines was when Tyrion's in the Night's Watch saying all these compliments to the night about the Night's Watch, and then the guy that he's talking to is like, a wise man once said, any words said before "but" don't count. And then Tyrion smirks and is like, "But." I like that line a lot.
Yeah, like Tyrion is just such a greatly written character.
Yeah.
In this,
and brilliantly acted. Like this is hands down Peter Dinklage's best performance.
hell of a lot better than Destiny.
Yeah. But like no, he's had a few other things, and like I've seen quite a few of his movies, and he's not a bad actor, but like this is like on another level from just about everything else he's done before or since.
It's like he's home in this.
Little bit, and it's weird.
Kind of the same with like Sean Bean, like because like you see him in like other movies, and you're like, he feels out of place. But then you watch like Lord of the Rings and Game of Thrones, and you're like, did they cast Sean Bean or did they just find him? Like out in the woods.
Yeah, Sean Bean is definitely at home in fantasy and medieval stuff.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of just where he belongs. But I feel like Peter Dinklage is at home when he's playing a character that is not only in a world where he doesn't feel like he belongs, but also kind of a guy who has been picked on because of his size and also is sympathetic to other people who are made to feel less than. Like
Dwarves are bastards in father's eyes.
Yeah, and there's a great movie that he was in that I'm sorry I don't remember the
Elf?
No. No, it's from the same director that did Spotlight last year.
Okay.
But it's I'm sorry I can't remember the name of it, but like he kind of just plays this sort of downtrodden dwarf, and like he's lost a lot and is feeling like life might be pointless. And his whole life he's kind of just felt like nobody really thought of him as a whole person. And the thing that really added to that was the fact that he is in fact just kind of a standard kind of boring guy. Like he likes simple things. He doesn't like to go out and party. He doesn't have a whole lot of friends. He's just kind of enjoys existing.
Us.
Not as we're not as bad as it. We're not as bad as him. No,
we said hopefully.
No, it's a pretty great movie, but like. It's kind of that same thing that Tyrion feels like. He feels like nobody really wants him to be anywhere.
Yeah,
and like his father regrets him, doesn't like him because he's a dwarf. His siblings don't like him because he killed their mother. Like
except for Jaime.
Yeah, Jaime doesn't treat him that badly.
Jaime's a very interesting character. What do you think?
I hate him so far, but I know he gets better.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's still kind of just in dick phase.
He's a real dick, but he has shown some moments of promise. Like at the very beginning, I was kind of like, how are they gonna make this guy likable? Because I've heard that he's likable later on. But like as things go on, it's not gonna be as daunting as I thought it was going to be, because there's depth to him.
Yeah,
and he does a lot of what he does just to please his sister, which is another thing entirely.
Yeah, there's an interesting angle.
Yeah. Incest.
But what do you think of the Stark children?
Like Stark children. Well, I already said I like Arya.
Yeah, Arya's awesome.
Arya's fucking sick. Like
Macy Williams is like the best.
She's really good. Yeah. Okay. I kind of hate Rob.
Okay.
Like he's just not a very interesting character to me. Like he's just kind of like, I'm gonna make my daddy proud type of a guy, and like I just don't have any tolerance for that. I'm gonna go kill them Lannisters, make my daddy proud. I don't give a shit. I mentioned I like Jon Snow. What's the other girl's name?
Sansa.
I didn't like her to start with, but I'm starting to like her more as she's starting to realize that Joffrey's just the worst.
Oh,
Like,
no idea.
No, I know, he gets even worse, but, like, I don't know exactly how worse, but I know he gets worse. But,
It's pretty bad.
don't
I'm not saying anything.
Don't spoil it. I like her once there's kind of that hint of rebellion in her. It's like there's a hint of rebellion in all the Stark children. Like, it just sort of comes out, which is weird because of the way their father goes. Like, their father goes because he holds the law very close to his heart.
Well, like, he's a very honorable man because he's from the North, and, like,
Yeah.
you don't fuck around with tradition in the North.
Yeah. But, like, he, at a time, was also a rebel. Like, he rebelled against...
The Targaryens.
Yeah.
The Mad King.
Yeah. He rebelled against the crown. Like, and that's not a per se an honorable thing to do. And, like, all the Stark children have that little bit of rebel in them. It just needs to be given a chance to come out. Arya always kind of put it at the forefront. Jon Snow lets it come out when he hears of his father's capture and feels like he needs to go join Robb's cause.
Yeah.
Robb is rebelling against the crown because his father
Go
make my daddy proud. Yeah.
And Bran. He's the
Oh
one
yeah,
who
yeah, yeah,
gets
yeah,
pushed
yeah,
out
yeah,
of the
yeah,
window.
yeah.
Bran flakes.
I feel like he hasn't been given his chance to shine yet. Like, he seems interesting to me. Like, he seems like more of a ruler than Robb does. Like, everybody's praising Robb for being the king in the North at this point. But I feel like Bran, as the young kid who's just kind of left back in Winterfell to watch over stuff, he kind of feels like he understands the political side of everything more than anybody else does. Like, I don't know. He hasn't been given a chance to shine yet, but I feel like there's a lot of potential to.
Yeah. But you saw some of the dreams, right?
Yeah, the dreams are cool. I want to know where they go. But I don't.
Three-eyed Raven.
Yeah, but I don't know about that yet.
What was your thoughts when you first saw the Three-eyed Raven?
I knew about the Three-eyed Raven. I don't know what it has to do with anything, but I know about it. So I'm just like, oh, what are you? Where do you fit?
I wasn't sure if, like, when you saw it, you're like, what the fuck is that thing?
It's not that crazy as a monster. It's just kind of a raven with an eye on its forehead.
Yeah. But that's very disturbing.
It's a little disturbing.
But, so we talked about the council, the Dothraki, kind of Daenerys.
Kind of like the Dothraki.
Let's see.
I feel like Daenerys has more opportunity to be talked about later.
Yeah.
It's like she's had her first moments as a badass.
Yeah.
And she had her time as a little girl at the very beginning of season 1. Like, at the very beginning of season 1, she's a little girl being forcibly sold off to a barbarian.
Yeah.
By her dick-ass brother.
What do you think of him?
I hate him. The burning fucking passion. I'm glad he's dead. I was glad right away.
Yeah.
Because he's such a pure, evil snake. Like, he's a fucking snake.
Yeah.
It's like, he's that moment when he's like, we can't go home. We need an army to go home. And I would gladly let him and his whole tribe fuck you if it meant I got my throne back. It's like, that's not okay. She's like, how old is she supposed to be?
In the book, I believe she's supposed to be like 14.
Yeah.
They had to be a little bit older because of American standards.
The actress is like 22, but like, at the time. But yeah, that's not okay.
Yeah.
Like, they're big men. They're big men and they're rough, and she's a little girl.
She's a little, like, pearl girl.
Yeah, she's real pale.
Yeah. What do you think of Joran? He's that knight who comes to the Dothraki to serve Daenerys.
Okay. Like the guy who's kind of at her right hand the whole time. Yeah, I like him a lot. Part of why I like the Dothraki so much is because it's so well explained because of him.
Mm-hmm.
And his loyalty to Daenerys is very intriguing. Because, like, he's, for all intents and purposes, kind of a traitor to Winterfell.
Well, to Westeros, but...
Oh, yeah, Westeros. All these things.
Yeah.
There's so many things. Like, he's kind of a traitor. And he is brought on kind of in the employ of her brother.
Mm-hmm.
And watching him turn on her brother just because he sees that he's a fucking snake.
Yeah.
And, like, he's just like, I feel like he turns on him because he feels like she needs him more than he does.
Yeah.
And feels like she is more of a ruler than he is. And part of that is because she actually has the blood of the dragon in her. Mm-hmm. And that's a real cool arc when she, like, is discovering that she is the mother of dragons from the moment that she first sees the dragon eggs, and then starts to learn a little bit more about the dragons from before.
Well, and, like, in the first scene that we see her, and when she steps into the tub, like, it's broiling hot. She's just like, step in.
Yeah. Actually, I didn't think about that because that was a while ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's interesting too.
Let's see, who else? How about King Robert?
I had a lot of fun with King Robert. He's a dick, as most of the royalty in this world are.
I'm going to eat, drink, and fuck myself to an early grave.
He kind of reminded me of the Bloody Baron from The Witcher 3, like, just kind of like...
Or vice versa.
Yeah, because the Bloody Baron from The Witcher 3 came after, but... Well, in the game, because the books... I don't know if he's in the books.
Yeah.
So, either way... One reminds me of the other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're very similar.
Yeah, and like, I don't know, like he's. I knew he was gonna be gone soon, and like not just because I knew, but because of who he was as a character. Like he's like, he was Ned Stark's fuck up friend.
Yeah.
Who somehow ended up being king. And got himself mixed up with the wrong crowd and all that.
The Lannisters.
Yeah, the Lannisters. The Lannisters are just inherently the wrong crowd.
They're blonde with blue eyes. Don't trust them.
Well, with the exception of Tyrion, they're just all really bad people. Mm-hmm. And like Tyrion kind of like wants to earn their approval for a while there, but he kind of bows to no man, which I really dig. Is part of what I really dig about him.
But he can't bow.
Shut up! Don't make fun of him. He's got a disability.
I'm not. But what do you think about Tywin, their dad? Have you really met him?
Yeah, we met him. in a weird way, I like him, like, as kind of, like, I don't know, he's an interesting character, but I feel like he's really a bad guy. Like, he's not a nice man.
No.
But he's got a lot of sense, at least at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Like, when he's talking to Jamie about Ned Stark being a problem, like, he's just kind of matter-of-factly saying, well, why is he still alive? Why did you let him go? What are you doing here?
Yeah.
Like, he's just like, why did you have to run to Daddy and tell me all this stuff? And like, I don't know, he's kind of just that dad that everyone wants to please at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Which is...
He's very much like the patriarch.
Yeah. A little bit.
But what do you think of his performance of that actor?
I like it.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a huge standout.
Oh,
but,
you haven't really seen much of it. Because like,
yeah,
he comes in like,
he's-
what, episode 6, 7? Like,
Yeah,
later on.
we haven't seen much of him, like, sort of off and on. But like, I like the way Tyrion really lights up when he gets told that he's allowed to be Hand of the King in his stead. He's like, why? Because you're my son. And he's just like, Daddy. Like, there's that brief moment of,
I have a father.
Daddy.
Yeah.
Yeah, like he has that dad power to be like, because you're my son, and I love you.
Mm-hmm.
But he doesn't say it a whole lot, so it really means something when he does.
Yeah. So, what do you think about the world that Westeros is? And
Yeah. No, it's very complex.
mm-hmm.
Like, there's a lot of different gears turning around everywhere from a political standpoint. I don't feel like I know enough about it kind of as a world, like how mystical it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because some of the more mystical elements are just starting to come into frame.
Yeah, well, there isn't actually a lot of mysticism to it.
Well, yeah, I know, but like...
It's a very low magic
Yeah.
fantasy, which I like because it brings in the more, like, gruesome part of the medieval periods.
Mm-hmm.
And
Which...
you see those.
That's one thing that I like, too, is because it's not like sorcerer. It's more swords and less sorcery.
Mm-hmm.
We're able to kind of get that dirty medieval stuff.
Like, well, why couldn't we just res him? type
like,
of thing.
The status quo and like everything being real dark. Like you can't have that in a world like Middle Earth.
No.
Like you just can't. Like there's some of the political stuff, but it's not as prominent.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like you wouldn't put up with political...
It's much more in The Hobbit.
Yeah. I feel like you wouldn't put up with political stuff if there was magic to be had. But there's not magic to be had, so like the political stuff can kind of be at the forefront and you can kind of see that it is interesting and that it is dark, that it is what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very realistic fantasy. Because, like, I mentioned before, like, with a lot of people getting killed, including, like, main characters, that wouldn't fly in Lord of the Rings because you're just like, but he's the hero.
Gandalf can't die.
Yeah.
I refuse to believe that he's dead. Oh, look, he's back.
Oh, look, he's back. Nobody's coming back. Not yet, anyway. No, but like, no, like, it's just like, Ned Stark was our hero, and you do sort of fall into that, but he can't die, he's the hero. But at the same time, when he does die, you're like, of course he died, he did stupid shit. Like, he got himself killed.
Yeah. Because, like, when you think about it, like, you do the honorable thing, you win. Oh.
Not right now. Not in this climate.
Yeah. But, like, what do
Not when winter is coming.
Yeah. But, like, what do you think of, like, The Wall and Winterfell and, like, the places themselves?
I like how varied they are. Like, in terms of like biome, but also in terms of the way their governments work. Like, it's kind of like everywhere has their own separate government, even though they're basically part of the same kingdom.
Yeah. Well, it's basically like that. Like, imagine King's Landing just being the Catholic Church back in the day.
Yeah.
Like, you had lords, and you had kings, but they even though like they're the lords, they still reported to the clergy members.
Yeah.
Because the church keeps everybody together.
Yeah, but like, it's weird because
even if like people are going to war, like there's still a, hey, we're all still humans here, pay up.
Yeah, and there's, but like, I get that, but it seems more like the Night's Watch is the we're all still humans here. Let's keep the monsters away. Yeah, it's like the scary mythological stuff is beyond the wall. Like everything that should be over here murdering everybody is over there, away from everything else,
with a big old block of ice.
Yeah, and you talk about King's Landing being the hey, we're the leaders, we're all still human, pay up. But like, King's Landing is kind of like the center of all the badness in the political system, whereas
because that's the top.
Whereas the Night's Watch is really the keeping the interests of all of humanity at the forefront
basically
of their mind.
Like a pyramid, because the Night's Watch is made up of like murderers and rapists that choose to go to the wall instead of being killed.
That's weird though. Like they should be composed of heroes and shit, because like they're the only things keeping us from the apocalypse essentially occurring.
Yeah, but I do find that very interesting.
Oh yeah, that's what makes it spicier.
That like, how do you have all these bad people doing something that's like arguably the most good thing you can do on this show,
and arguably the most good thing that is going on in this terrible, terrible world.
Well, it's pretty bad up there, but.
No, it's not bad. It's not good. It's a bad place.
You gotta go beyond the wall, and there's like bodies that disappear.
And then they come back. And they cut your fucking head off.
Yeah. Let's see. What else can we talk about with this? First season.
I don't know. I mean, we've dipped a little bit into the second season.
Yeah,
just because that's at the forefront of my mind. Right?
Yeah, that's your fault.
I shouldn't have watched the first episode of season 2 before we did this.
We don't really see any of the other Lannister children yet, because they're still like young and don't matter.
Yeah.
So
fucking Joffrey.
Yeah, we just see
Joffrey's a Lannister, damn it.
Yeah. They're all Lannisters, but
Nobody accepts.
we're all Lannisters now.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surrounded by Lannisters.
Yeah, it's a good show. I'm excited to jump back in and watch some more.
Watch all of it.
Yeah. Well, that's the ultimate goal, isn't it?
Yeah. But I think that'll do it for this thoughts.
Yeah.
It's been very long-winded because there's a lot to talk about in even just the first season.
Yeah, no, it's
Good.
We just
I guess
talked.
we could mention nudity,
We just
but that's just
talked
kind of
about-
HBO's thing about like, hey, we got a new IP, so show some tits. But
we don't have to talk about it.
yeah, no, that's kind of it really. Like, there's a lot of nudity where they didn't really need nudity, but they just decided this would be filmed better naked.
There is some.
Oh, there is a character that we forgot to talk about. Theon Greyjoy. He was the ward of Ned. He was the guy who was constantly like kind of egging Robb. He's the orange hair.
I kind of remember him, but not a whole lot.
Okay. I guess not.
I guess that kind of speaks to what I think about him as a character.
Who? But okay, I guess that's all.
Sorry to burst your bubble, buddy.
That's fine. I don't remember what all he does in the first season, anyways.
Not much, if
Yeah.
memory serves. Well, clearly memory doesn't.
But I think that'll be all for now. Davey will probably watch the second season here soon.
Yeah.
As he's started it, he'll probably finish it. So we'll have another one of these up, and we'll have more in-depth discussions about Game of Thrones and basically the world that George R.R. Martin has built, and put onto screen.
Yeah, it's pretty great. I like it a lot.
It's so good. If you guys haven't watched it, go and watch it. And if you haven't watched it, and you're still here, I'm sorry. but
Sorry for all the spoilers. We told you to leave.
Yeah, you have lost. So go watch it, or even just started season 2, and you're already caught up.
No, we talked about basically everything that happens in season 1.
Yeah. But yeah, so you're caught up. Go watch season 2 if you haven't seen any of it. You'll be sorry, but that's on you. You could have been watching the first episode right now during this whole episode.
Yeah.
Like, you could have watched the whole first episode.
Not the whole first episode.
We're only a few minutes.
We're only at 47 minutes.
Oh, okay.
48 minutes.
Okay, that's not as bad as I thought. I thought we were going on like an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Well, let's make sure that doesn't happen.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Like, share, subscribe, do all that stuff. Yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take it easy.
Goodbye!